Hello, this is our Milestone 3 submission for the work in progress group for the Human-Computer Interaction Spring 2023 project. We'll be going through what we did, and we'll start off by just introducing ourselves real quick. My name is Andrew.
Hi, my name is Darius.
My name is Ella.
My name is Steven.
Awesome, and we're the work in progress group once again. So this milestone had us to do with generating some ideas and creating the low fidelity and high fidelity wireframes. So we'll be showing our progress with that. I first just want to show our brainstorming session that we did together to come up with what user stories we want to focus on, as well as what design ideas we wanted to get out of those. And so this was our brainstorming session. You see up here kind of the general umbrellas of the ideas we want to focus on: accessing lessons, accessing an account, general navigation, and lesson interaction. We'll be going into which of the user stories we chose for each of these, as well as the justification and the numerous design ideas we created and chose to focus on. So we'll jump over to the mockup page and we'll walk through these one by one.
So this is our main mockup page where we took each of the 5 user stories. We have over here in page 2 are some of the components that we use throughout the page, as you can see there. And on the page 1, we have it separated into our low fidelity and our high fidelity. So we're going to start off with the navigation and the clickability user stories. So this one just has the user story for as, and then next to it has the justification. And basically we use the user story for this one. As a new user, I want the website to be simple for me to read and understand so I can navigate it better. And this is important because it touches on making a website that is more concise, which is supported by the Nelson Norman Group. And then down here we have the low fidelity stages and what they highlighted in there. For example, bringing the margins and taking out the background. And there's justification for each of those decisions as well. Oh, and then also on the side we have the key ideas for that, which were what I just stated. And then if we scroll to the right, there here we have when an element is hovered, and also what happens when something is trying to be searched on the website. But this was just low fidelity ideas that got translated into the high fidelity final product for this, which looks a lot more like the actual site that has the course information stuff in it, which again, there's justification for making everything marginalized, making larger margins, making the search bar more predominant, and what happens when things are hovered on. So then, to show more clickability as well. And then navigating, of course, through the search bar throughout the site. So then the next user story is talking about, once again, it has each of these user stories has the key ideas and then the justification. This one, it says, as a user, I want to know what links and buttons are clickable so I can move through the website and to third-party links. And this one, for the low fidelity mockups, we touched on things like drop shadow and having different hover effects on the buttons. For example, being darker or lighter when they're hovered on, and so that you know when they are focused on, as backed up by the Norman Group for their clickability article, and what functionality happens when you actually press on those buttons. For example, if you search something, and then if you go down to the bottom one, these are for links in the sites. Wait, I'm confused. I'm sorry. Can you scroll out of here? Are you in low fidelity or in high fidelity?
Yeah, that's still low fidelity.
Oh my God. After a second, I thought we were in high fidelity. And then down here, we talk about what links, how links should be highlighted on the site. And we messed around with the idea of it being different colors and the justifications for that as well. In the final draft, we decided that all of the consistent elements that can be clicked, buttons, what buttons do when they're hovered, and what links do, to show that they're links, and to show what happens after when they're clicked. And that can be seen in this high fidelity walkthrough.
Sweet. And so going to the next user story, which says, as a current user, I won't be able to post follow-up comments within a lesson for instructors or others to respond to. Over here to the left, just briefly, we have some of kind of like the very, very beginning, how all of us started kind of working together and some different design options. And ultimately saw this as an important feature and really wanted to kind of consider multiple alternatives and ultimately decide on the one we chose. But jumping back to the user story, as well as the justification for it. As you can see, lots of research and articles that kind of allude to how comments are an important feature to provide engagement as well as social proof, which is the idea that users can see what other users are thinking, what they're saying, and allow them to respond to each other to provide help for a lesson. So looking at the low fidelity, this is first looking at just general high-level commenting. You see how you originally just have this page, start doing a comment, you see that hover effect in the post button and that post being made. Lots of justification here. Psychology of Social Proof was a particularly interesting article about the importance of comments and how they can really just open your perspective to what other people are saying, as well as there are different ideas on things. The design of everyday things by Norman was also referenced several times as far as the hover effects and those decisions that were made. And I'll show the high fidelity for this as well. You see this just kind of done on a slightly higher level. And you see again the same interaction happening where that high level comment is made. Noticeably, you see the user information as well as the comment itself, this upvoting functionality, which I'll get to in a minute, as well as that reply functionality right there. Next up, we got replying. And so after a user is posted, they can also press that reply button to a reply. This walks through that. And the low fidelity, again, supported by numerous different articles and scholarly research. And I'll just jump to the high fidelity here, where you press that reply button, which becomes darker upon hover. See another sort of comment box drop down where you can add in your comment, press that reply button, and it's then posted beneath it. Finally, the upvoting feature, I think this is a really cool way to kind of have that social proof and have kind of a source of relative accuracy as far as which comment should be trusted versus distrusted. And you see how this kind of the first state, see how that plus button darkens upon hover and upon click. And you see how that 3 has been incremented to a 4. Similar functionality with the decrement function, which would bring that number down 1 unit. And I'll pass it off to Darius for this section right here.
Yeah, so for this section, this is for accessing an account. And the user story here is, as a prior user, I want to resume a course with a clear indication of where I left off. And the justification for that is to just support the being able to track your course progress as you are doing these courses, and just so students know where they left off when they were last accessing the course. And some key ideas that we had here were to include the progress bar to allow people to know how far they are along a course, as well as a to-do list to know which places that they have to do in order to complete the lesson that they're currently on and stuff like that. So if we were to just take a look at that with the to-do here, you're able to see you're greeted with this screen when you log in, and then after that you have a to-do list. Then let's say, for example, you are almost complete with lecture 1, then you finally complete lecture 1 here. You would then click the button there to mark as complete. And then you would see that the progress bar would be updated, and it would go ahead and then move you over to lecture 2. And then for the bottom, again, seeing more with the progress bar, you're able to click on the progress bar in the next wireframe to see how many lessons you have completed already, and then see how many lessons you have left to go. And then also at the end, this is just like the landing page for users. So you wouldn't stay here for your whole time on the website. You would eventually end up going to a different page that will take you to all of the lecture 2 content. And if we were to take a look at the high fidelity section of this, you would see The edges of this are rounded, which is just to make sure that the website's more uniformed, as well as icons are being added as well, just, make sure it's like a personalized experience for the user. And there's all of the justification and stuff like that. All of the sources are linked as well for all of the choices made.
Okay, so in terms of accessing lessons, the top priority for all the users is probably the ability to browse all the lessons available and to kind of like find their desired lessons. So you can see in the sketch art right there, these are kind of like the first general ideas that we came up with this for this user story, like something like the search bar, the side menu, and even the like kind of like a live chat support feature. So underneath that, you will be able to see kind of like the lower frames, the low fidelity wireframes that we generated for this user story, where you can see how these features that we described before are kind of like implemented in this kind of setting. So if you go to the high fidelity side, we just basically added more details on this to kind of like mimic what they will look like on the real website if the user were to kind of interact with it. You can see it kind of shows how these like the filter button looks when it's clicked on, and then the search button when it's clicked on, and at the end over there we have like how it will appear for the user when they're trying to use the live chat feature.
So yeah, and for credit, overall, I would say that we all worked together and contributed equally throughout this whole milestone. Especially for the brainstorming session, we were coming up with different user stories and ideas that we deemed most relevant to for this milestone. But in order to be a little bit more efficient, we divided some of the wireframe work, but we're still able to ask each other for assistance, and we're also able to stay consistent with the different components that we use throughout the wireframe process. And yeah.